Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, today is another beautiful day here in Pennsylvania. It is gorgeous outside, almost shorts weather, but we are working in the garage today. So we're actually going to try and tackle our wiring and also mounting like our nitrous solenoid and all that. So wiring, I've been kind of making it out to be a bigger deal than it really is. We don't have that awful much to do. We have to clean up our wiring inside the cab here, get all that sorted out. We got to run some things back through the dash and all that. Also, we need to, wire our pump and our fan. We need to wire our nitrous solenoid and actually mount our nitrous solenoid. Do all that kind of stuff. I also have our Edge CTS2 that we're going to be putting on and try and get all of our gauge sensors on for all that stuff, just so we can monitor things like our transmission temperature, our line pressure, and I think I actually have one for the actual temperature coming out of the torque converter. So we're going to try and get all that wired in. Like I said, I've been making it out to be a bigger deal than it is. It's not that hard. It's more of just time consuming, and there's not really that big payoff. Like when we mounted the intercooler, we can step back and look and, hey, look at this. This looks awesome. Really with the wiring, all we can do is flip the switch and turn something on. But anyway, it is a job that needs to be done. So let's get into it. Let's get this stuff wired and make sure everything's working correctly. So guys, it is much later. As you guys can see, it is dark outside, but we have everything wired up that was in the truck before. We don't have our CTS2 hooked up yet, but our coolant pump, our rad fan, those wires actually come through the frame. So they go down from the front of the truck. They come down, which it's dark over here. They come down, and then they go down, and then one of our big speed holes in the frame, they go into that and run it to the coolant pump and the rad. So that's all done. Also on the driver's side of the truck, got our transmission cooler wired in. Also ran the wire for this is like the feed for the computer that goes into our Breakout Tuning Solutions harness. And then I also shortened these cables up because they were a little long, because before it was coming through the bracket on the rear suspension through the leaf spring bracket. So shortened those up. Also made sure to get heat shrink on all those. These ones back here didn't have it originally. Got that heat shrunk. Also put heat shrink on the connection for the starter because it's in there and I didn't have heat shrink on it originally, so wanted to do that. Also got our starter wire going through the firewall rather than our hole in the floor. So I think we're ready to test all this stuff. So we have power. I need to get another ribbon cable for these last 4 switches, the last 4 relays on that ARC switch panel. So I didn't run that cable because I got to get a new one. That's why these are dead. So I think this is one. So that's our transmission cooler. Cooling. That's our rad fan. Wow, that thing is blowing some air. This is definitely a good pickup. Yeah, that thing is moving a ton of air. So I think it was definitely a good pickup on the rad there. So our last one is our coolant pump, which sounds like it's coolant pumping. Oh yeah, she's got some flow there. What happens if we... Oh yeah. Now, you can see bubbles and stuff. I know you guys probably can't because it's dark out, but our coolant pumps, we are all good there. So, we'll move on to our Edge CTS2. We got to put some, I don't know what sensors and all that we got to put in, but we'll get that all done up. And then we can kind of wrap up our panel. I still have stuff that's unzip tied there, but all this wiring is done. It's complete. You know, the thing with the wiring is it's just one of them, like, you just think about what a pain it's going to be. It's really not that hard. It's just, as you guys can see, just takes time. So we'll get to getting our Edge CTS2 installed, which is all this stuff right here. So our monitor, which we're going to have to make a mount for, because we had it on the gauge pod, but we got that, our anteater controller, and all our other stuff. So we got to get all this. Oh, that's a KFX 400 piece of plastic that broke off. So we'll get all this stuff ran, or try to, and get it in. I don't know if we're going to be able to get a mount for our CTS2 tonight, but we are looking good. Everything is kind of coming together. So all right, let's get to this. So our Edge CTS2 is installed-ish. So got the wiring. I just put it here behind the power steering reservoir. It's a nice little spot for it. There's already a hole to go into the cab for the wire. We do have to clean up our wires a little bit and do some zip tying, but it is getting late. So we got everything. We got, you know, drive pressure, line pressure, boost, fuel pressure, transmission pan, transmission coming out of the converter. We got our drive pressure set up, our EGT set up. All that stuff is in and ran. You know, we got boost, we got fuel pressure down here. We could have ran it off of our air dog as well. I kind of ran the line over top of the 2 ports for it, but there are 2 gauge ports in here for the filter. So that's an option, but we already had the sensor in our fleece distribution block, which also has a port for it. So that's all done. In the cab here, I just kind of ran the wires to the panel real quickly because I don't know where I'm going to mount this thing for right now. I don't know if I'm going to put it, you know, like over here or what. I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to mount it. It does have this gauge pod mount, but we don't really have anything for, you know, gauge pods. So we should be able to turn the power on. How I have it wired, it should be just anytime the power is on to the truck, not the ignition, but when the power is on, we'll have our Edge working. So we got lights. Oh, and there we go, Edge CTS2. Now to wire this thing in here, what we did, because we're not running it off the OBD2 because we're going to use our EFI Live setup, our V2 to data log any runs. So what you got to do is they have like a 12 valve kit or something they call it, and basically allows you to power your unit without the OBD2. So if you have a 12 valve truck or anything mechanical, you can just throw gauges on there with this setup, which is pretty nice. You know, you can have a nice digital gauge in your older mechanical truck. You just have to run the different sensors and all that. So we got everything in there. Our converter is apparently minus 40 degrees. I'll have to look at that. Maybe it's not plugged in all the way, but yeah, everything's there. Everything's off a little bit, it looks like, except for EGT. 68, that seems about right. Transpan 64, that's close. This is just kind of a general reference. Honestly, we already had this set up, so we're just gonna roll with it. That being said, in the future, I would like to get something a little better. Like, that is great for like a street truck or your daily driver, something like that. Or like I said, if you have an older mechanical truck and you want some nice gauges, you don't want to, you know, pillar pod, because I know personally I hate them because just everybody's got them. But anyhow, it's nice for that. For our application, it's a bit, yeah, it's probably not good enough. But we already have it. It works. It'll be able to give us a little bit more information. One thing we did get when we got our Breakout Tuning Solutions harness, there's actually 2 sensors here on the intake manifold that will allow us to read a higher map pressure. So what that allows us to do is we can actually log like 150 pounds of boost through the computer and our EFI Live. When we had the factory computer in this, as you guys know, if you had a Mini Max, an MM3, any of that things, like the factory sensors, they'll only read up to like 35 pounds. So really, you don't know what's going on. And as far as like EGT and drive pressure, honestly, for us, it's just gonna kind of be what it is. Yeah, we could put water injection or something like that in the future, but we'll look at it, you know, have a little reference. But when we had the truck at the track before, our EGTs were off the charts. So the thing, this EGT probe for the CTS2 only reads up to, I think, like 2,000 degrees, and we were right around there. Not that that's a big deal. You're only doing it for about 10 seconds, and then you're off. So anyhow, guys, I know I'm kind of rambling here at the end. Sorry there wasn't really much to show you. All this wiring stuff, like I said, it's kind of monotonous. There's nothing real exciting. Not any real great tricks. I did loom everything, and I used my my Tessa tape, this like fabric tape. It's better than like an electrical tape. This is almost what they kind of like what they wire the vehicles from the factory with, that kind of fabric tape. It's definitely a lot better for doing this sort of thing than electrical tape. Electrical tape, especially you get fuel or any kind of stuff like that on it, it's coming unraveled and no good. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. The truck is getting there. We got a lot of progress done tonight. Our fans all work. You know, the rad fan, the trans fan, the pump works. Our Edge CTS2 is almost installed. Yeah, this thing's coming together. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Get out in your garage, get the wrenching on your truck.